Hey there, Templeview 4th grade. You are wonderful and I'm glad you're here today. Now, with this lesson, we're still going to talk about base 10. So we have a question. Imagine that there are 10 students. And each student has 37 marbles. So there's the 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets, 4 sets, 5 sets, 6 sets, 7 sets, 8 sets, 9 sets, 10 sets. So 10 students have 37 marbles. How do we figure out how many marbles are in all? It'd be kind of hard to be 37 plus 37 plus 37 and keep going down the line. That would be a little hard. But each set of marbles can be broken apart. So think about what we said about base 10 and how 10 is a friendly number. What can we do with 37? Can we break it apart? They can be broken into 10s and 1s. So all of the 10s and then all of the 1s. So 10 is represented by red and 1s are represented by green. Now if we split these up, if you put all of the 10s and all of the 1s together, it makes it easier to figure out. That's much nicer. There are 30 10s and there are 70 1s. And because of what we know about base 10, we know that what does 30 10s turn into? 30 10s turn into 300s. So look at it again. 30 10s, because we can't have 30 in the tens place, it goes to 300. And 71s, we can't have 70 little 1 cubes, but they turn into 7 10s. So 300s, so we are left with 307 10s, which equals, if we put them together, so if we expand this number right here, it's 300 plus 70, and if we put it up, it's 370, or 370. Okay, so what does this mean? So we talked about how every time we cross over that line, we times it by 10. Now we had 10 students, and they all had 37 marbles. If we're timesing all of them by 10, or we are adding 10 groups together, that 3 has to move over 1 because it's being times by 10. It's moving over 1, and so is that 7. But if you're moving over the 3 into the hundreds and the 7 over into the tens, what happens with this question mark? What do? We can't just leave it blank. So what do? What number represents nothing? 0. So our 0 is our placeholder. When we times by 10 and we're jumping over that one line with each number, our placeholder becomes a 0. Now what if we had 37 marbles, but instead of 10 students this time, we have 100 students, and we're not, if we're timesing it by 100, we're not just timesing it by 10, we're timesing it by 10 times 10, which 10 times 10 is 100. So you have to jump over 2 lines. So that 7, it doesn't go in the 1s, it doesn't go in the 10s, it goes clear over to this 100. And the 3 doesn't go in the 100, it goes into the 1,000. So again, if we take that 37 and instead of 10 students, we're timesing it by 100 students, we have that 3 and that 7 digit is moved over. What do we have in the tens and the ones place. We can't just have question marks, but we can't represent any digit besides 0. That 0 becomes that placeholder. So 37 turns into 3,700. Okay, one more time, okay? So we have that 37 marbles, but instead of 10 times or 100 times, what if there's 1,000 students? 1,000 students have 37 marbles. If we have 1,000, because every line is times 10, so 10 times 10 is 100, and 100 times 10 is 1,000. We know that from our base 10, and we're crossing 3 lines. That 3 goes from the tens to the 10,000, and that 1 goes from ones to 1,000. What are we putting in those question mark areas? We have to have a placeholder. If we're timesing it by 10, 100, 1,000, what is that placeholder? It has to be 0. Okay, so think about the pattern that we just talked about. So 37 turns into 370. So 37 times 10, or 10 groups of 37 is 370. 100 groups of 37 turns into 3,700. 1,000 groups of 37 turns into 37,000. What do you think the next step is? If it has to cross clear over one more line, do you think we might place another 0 for a placeholder? I don't know. You guys did great. Good job, guys.